Hello viewers, welcome to our channel Fact Engine. When discussing some of the most notorious figures in history, Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin are often mentioned in the same breath. Both leaders were responsible for immense suffering and death during their respective regimes in the 20th century. But who was more dangerous and ruthless? Let's dive into a comparison of these two tyrants to understand their ideologies, actions, and the impact they had on the world. Let's start with a comparison in ideologies and objectives. Adolf Hitler, the leader of Nazi Germany, rose to power in the 1930s. His ideology, rooted in fascism and extreme nationalism, was based on the belief in Aryan racial superiority and anti-Semitism. Hitler's primary objectives were the expansion of German territory, known as Lebensraum, the establishment of a pure Aryan state, and the eradication of Jews and other groups he deemed undesirable. Joseph Stalin, on the other hand, was the leader of the Soviet Union from the mid-1920s until his death in 1953. Stalin's ideology was based on Marxist-Leninist communism, but in practice, it was a brutal and totalitarian version. His goals included the consolidation of power within the Communist Party. Stalin sought to create a classless communist society, but his methods were harsh and unforgiving. Now, let's have a look into the methods of ruling of both leaders. Both Hitler and Stalin ruled through fear and repression, but their methods differed in some ways. Hitler used a combination of propaganda, violence, and intimidation to maintain control. The Nazi regime employed the SS and Gestapo to silence opposition, enforce racial policies, and carry out the final solution, the genocide of 6 million Jews in the Holocaust. Hitler's reign also saw the brutal suppression of political opponents, the disabled, Romani people, and anyone who didn't fit into his vision of a pure Aryan race. Stalin was equally ruthless, if not more so, in consolidating his power. He orchestrated purges, mass executions, and forced labor camps, known as the Gulag, where millions of people died from overwork, starvation, and harsh conditions. Stalin's regime was marked by widespread paranoia, as he targeted not only political rivals, but also perceived enemies within his own party, military, and society at large. The Great Purge of the 1930s alone led to the execution of hundreds of thousands and the imprisonment of millions. Next, coming to the impact and death toll caused by Hitler and Stalin. When comparing the death tolls attributed to each leader, the numbers are staggering. Hitler is responsible for the deaths of an estimated 11 to 12 million people, including 6 million Jews in the Holocaust. His aggressive military campaigns during World War II led to the deaths of tens of millions more across Europe. Stalin's policies, particularly the forced collectivization and the resulting famines, are estimated to have caused the deaths of around 10 to 20 million people. This includes the Ukrainian famine, known as the Holodomor, the purges, and the brutal conditions in the gulags. However, unlike Hitler, Stalin's atrocities were often directed at his own people, including perceived enemies of the state and ordinary citizens caught up in his reign of terror. Who was more dangerous and ruthless? Determining who was more dangerous or ruthless is a complex question. Both men were responsible for immense suffering and the deaths of millions, and both left deep scars on the 20th century. Hitler's brand of ideological hatred, particularly the Holocaust, represents one of the most horrific genocides in history. His ambition for world domination led to a global conflict that reshaped the world. Stalin, however, was arguably more dangerous in his ability to maintain absolute control over a massive nation for decades, instilling fear even among his closest allies. His purges and the scale of internal repression were unparalleled, and the effects of his dictatorship were felt long after his death. In terms of sheer ruthlessness, Stalin's paranoia and willingness to eliminate anyone, even those within his inner circle, make him a contender for the title of the more ruthless leader. Hitler, with his genocidal policies and relentless pursuit of racial purity, remains one of history's most dangerous figures due to the global scale of his ambitions and atrocities. In the end, both Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin were incredibly dangerous and ruthless leaders, each leaving behind a legacy of terror and death. Comparing them is difficult, as their crimes and impacts differ in nature and scope. That's it for this deep dive into the lives of Hitler and Stalin. If you found this content insightful, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you're updated whenever we post new content. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Who do you think was more dangerous or ruthless, and why? Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.